It determines your success rate, your budget per participant, and which national agency officer is going to be breathing down your neck during an audit. Welcome back at Alfa Edge podcast. If you have listened to the first two episodes, you now understand the galaxy and the soul of the program. But today, we're going to talk about something much more practical and frankly, much more dangerous. I call it the sector crisis or the sector identity crisis. In my 10 years of experience, I have seen brilliant, high-impact organizations lose tens of thousands of euros and years of progress simply because they checked the wrong box on the page 1 of their application or they chose the wrong application. They thought that they were school when they were actually vets. They thought that they were adult education when the national agency actually saw them at use. In 2021-2027 cycle, and especially here in 2026, the boundaries between sectors have become more rigid in some ways and much more blurred in some others. Your sector isn't just a label. It determines your success rate, your budget per participant, and which national agency officer is going to be breathing down your neck during an audit. Today, we are going to stop the guessing game. I'm going to break down the DNA of the three major sectors: school education, vocational education and training, which is VET, and adult education. I'm not going to be speaking about youth, sport, or higher education for now. We're going to be talking about this later. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly where your organization belongs, how to pivot if you are in the wrong place, and how Alfa Edge's 10 years of experience can help you navigate the identity crisis to secure the maximum funding for your staff and learners. So, let's solve the crisis. So, let's start with school education. K Action 1 SCH. On the surface, it seems simple. If you have pupils and teachers, you are a school, right? Wrong. In the eyes of the European Commission in 2026, school education is defined by formal curriculum leading to a recognized national diploma. This includes everything from pre-primary to upper secondary. But here is where the identity crisis starts for many of you. Are you a language school? Many language schools apply under school education because they teach teenagers. But unless you are a part of the formal national school system of your country, the national agency might reject your application at the eligibility phase, seeing you belong to adult education. The 10 years lesson? Well, I remember a consortium in 2018 that spent 6 months writing a brilliant K Action 1 proposal for innovative science teaching. They applied under school education. On the day of the results, they got a 0. Not because the project was bad, obviously, but because they were an NGO that supported schools but weren't a school themselves. In 2026, the link to formal systems must be documented and unbreakable. Obviously, we can talk about that it's open to all the types of organizations to apply to the projects as long as they are active in this sector. But here I'm speaking about type of accreditation as an example of a school to get a school accreditation. Or a small and medium enterprise that applies for a youth that they are for profits and they don't have anything tracing to corporate social responsibility. All of these type of things are vital to this process. So the strategy: if you are in the school sector, your Erasmus plan must focus on pedagogical innovation and whole school development. The national agency doesn't want to see one teacher getting a certificate. They want to see how the teacher's experience at Alfa Edge course, as an example in Rome, is going to change the curriculum for 500 students back home. At Alfa Edge, when we host school staff, we focus on the classroom of 2030, and we teach them how to integrate AI and green mobility into a rigid formal curriculum. Now let's talk about the powerhouse of Erasmus+, VET, K Action 1 VET. VET is a very well-funded sector in the program because it's directly tied to the European skills agenda and the labor market. If your training is designed to help someone get a job, keep a job, or change a job, you are likely in VET. But here is the 2026 twist. The line between VET and adult education is moving. With the introduction of the individual learning accounts, the ILAs, and the micro-credentials movements, many organizations that used to be adult education are now moving into VET because their training is recognized or is being recognized for professional development. The insider reality? VET is a high stakes. The national agency expects work-based learning. If you send staff or learner on a VET mobility, the national agency wants to see the learning agreements that looks like a job description. They want to see the EC VET, the European credit system for VET, or at least a very strong alignment with professional standards. The Alfa Edge, we see many organizations struggle with VET because the reporting is more technical. At Alfa Edge, we have spent a decade mastering the language of employability. When a VET provider sends their staff to us, we don't just teach soft skills, we teach professional competences. If you are an organization that does any kind of professional retraining, even if you are an NGO, you should look closely at the VET sector. Now we have come to my favorite sector, adult education. Key Action 1, ADU. I call this the Wild West because it's the most diverse and most inclusive, unfortunately, the most misunderstood. Adult education in 2026 is defined by non-formal learning. It's for the person who isn't in a school and isn't necessarily training for a specific job. It's about life skills. It's about the grandmother learning to use the smartphone. It's about the migrant learning the local language to participate in a society. And it's about the activists learning how to organize a community. The identity crisis. This is where most organizations get lost. If you teach digital skills to unemployed people, are you a VET or are you an adult education? Well, if you teach them so they can get a job at a call center, you are a VET. If you teach them so they can access their bank accounts and not be socially excluded, you are adult education. The 10-year strategic step in here, in adult education, the national agency is looking for social impact. They don't care about diplomas, they care about lives changed. And this is the sector where the horizontal priorities we discussed in episode 2, including green digital participation, carry the most weight. In Alfa Edge, we are experts in the adult sectors. We know that adult learners have a different psychology. We even hold an accreditation from Erasmus in adult education. The adult learners need transformative learning. When you send your adult staff to us, we teach them how to handle vulnerable groups. We teach them how to measure soft outcomes, because adult education is so broad, the competition for funding is fierce. You need a 90+ scores in some national agency just to get a seat at the table. To get that score, you need a partner who understands that the adult education isn't just a VET light. It's a sophisticated sector that requires a deep understanding of the science of teaching adults. If you treat your adult learners like school children, the national agency will see it in your report, and your funding most probably will be cut. Now let's talk about the experts move for 2026. What if you are both? Many of the most successful organizations I have worked with in the last 10 years hold double accreditations. They have accreditation in adults and in VET. Why should you do this? 1. Diversification. If the budget for adult education is tight one year, the VET budget might be overflowing. However, you cannot use one budget of the other to finance the mobility of the other. 2. Institutional growth. You can send your career coaches through the VET budget and your community workers through the adult education budget. The danger of the identity crisis here is where the double accreditation trap lies. Double funding. The European Commission is terrified of you getting paid twice for the same activity. So, if you have two accreditation, your accounting needs to be Erasmus proof. You need to be able to show that participant A was 100% vet and participant B was 100% adult education. The Alpha Consultancy, we help our multi-sector partners manage this. We provide separate impact reports for their different departments. We help them decide this specific staff member should go to Rome for a vet-focused AI course, while the other staff member should go for the adult-focused inclusive course or inclusion course. If you feel your organization is stuck between sectors, then just pick one at random. Analyze your end user. Who is the person sitting in the chair at the end of the day? If your person is there to get a certificate for their CV, you are a vet. If this person is there to become a better version of themselves, you are adult education. If you are doing both, you need two strategies. At Alfa Edge, we provide the dual track trainings that satisfy both. It's time for the Alpha audit. The scenario: you have been working as an NGO in the adult education sector for years. You decided to apply for the vet accreditation because you heard there is more money in there. The mistake: you used the same organization description from your adult education projects to your vet education. You talk about social well-beings and lifelong learning. The audit: the national agency rejects your vet eligibility. Why? Because you didn't prove that your organization has a legally recognized role in vocational training according to your national law. The Alpha solution: before you check a box, you need an eligibility audit. Look at your articles of constitutions. Does it say you provide vocational training? Do you have some kind of recognition from your national authorities for vocational education? If not, you are wasting your time in the vet sector. At Alfa Edge, we make sure our partner organizations' profile meet the course that they are choosing. We make sure the sector you have chosen matches your legal reality. Don't let a sector identity crisis kill your European dream before it starts. Visit us at alfaedu.it to see our sector-specific training tracks. I'm Marwan Zahir, and this is your blueprint for success. See you in the next one. Thank you.